Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you guys doing? Good morning. It's your brother Bolo V&R, and I'm definitely not going to waste any time. I'm trying to figure out how did I miss this? How in the world did I miss this interview between Will Rattigan and Dr. Andre Hart? Now, I'm only going to be focused on a specific portion of this. You guys go over there and you go watch it yourself. I encourage everybody to go to Reasoning with Rattigan and subscribe to the program, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Now, remember to follow me on all platforms, Bolo V&R. That's Bolo V&R 2.0 and Bolo V&R Clips. I said, make sure you follow me on all platforms. I need to get to 1,000 subs on Bolo V&R Clips and Bolo V&R. We need to get to 5K subs and Bolo V&R 2.0. We're on the way to 20K subs, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get it. Do remember that the Cash App is now available. Do remember, ladies and gentlemen, do remember that the Cash App is now available for those that want to support the platform monetarily. That is an option. Also, the PayPal as well. Both those links you can find at either the description of the video, Nightbot dropping it in the comment section, or it's pinned in the top of the comment section. The description and Nightbot, those three options, you can find the link to the Cash App or the name. The name of the Cash App is $DH7220, or and that the initials is PC, just for confirmation. The PayPal is BOLO876J, just to get those out of the way. All right. Now, how in the world did I miss this? How in the world Dr. Haughton has my full attention, and I hope this question that Jamix is about to ask and the answer and what follows after that gives you greater clarity as to our situation economically here in Jamaica, because it surely gave me that clarity. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me play the clip. Let me play the clip. All right, let's go.
Talk to me. I have some questions for him about macroeconomics, but now wait till, you know.
It's gonna get down there, but trust me, man. Each time I hear Dr. Arden speak, it's a blessing, man. And again, the humbleness of the man and the wealth of knowledge. So thank you to come back from England to say that you're playing your part in nation building. It is a great pleasure to have you back here. I remember the first time that you and I think a Ras and Ballad podcast, and I really enjoyed that podcast. But you answered some of my question, but this is a question that has been in the political environment. You spoke about FINSAC briefly. I'm just asking you as quickly as possible, or just to break it down so the normal man on the street can understand what is FINSAC and what can we learn from the experience of FINSAC.
Okay, that's a pretty good question. We can't understand the FINSAC without understanding the overall economic construct of Jamaica's economy. Let me begin with the 1970s, right? Throughout the 1970s, Jamaica embarked on a lot of nationalization, right? We nationalized banks, we nationalized transportation, we nationalized a lot of the industries in the country. And it was done with good intentions, right? It was done in order to give the country ownership of revenue generating assets, not just leaving the government to get income from just taxes, but to give the government the ability to have multiple income streams, as well as to give Jamaica ownership of much of what had been owned by foreigners, right? Now, throughout that time, we went through two significant events in the 70s, right? We went through the first and second oil price shock. Now, these shocks escalated the price of oil. Oil was an import, and as a result, Jamaica had balance of payment problems where we needed foreign currency to purchase our foreign demand for oil and other goods. Now, at that time, also in the economy, was a push towards the whole self-reliant issue by Michael Manley and so on and so forth. Now, because prices got so high, coming into the 80s, Jamaica's reserves were beginning to deplete, right? Now, throughout the 80s, Edward Seaga practiced a different type of economic management, a more liberal economy, trying to privatize some of the industries, as well as to put import restrictions on a lot of the things that were brought into the country. If you ever heard about goods being married, when you went to the shop, you buy a tin of sardine, you buy a pack of sanitary napkin alongside it, you're buying a pound of flour, you have to buy toothpaste, and so on and so forth. That was designed in order to have controls in our consumption demand and to limit what we imported from abroad. Now, Seaga practiced a lot of exchange rate management controls, right? Because he was very interested, so as myself, in maintaining a currency of value. And we'll get to that shortly. In America, they preach about them having a strong currency. But when neoliberal economists talk about the developing world, they encourage us to depreciate our currency, to quote unquote sell more to the rest of the world. But if you don't have more to sell, it means you can't sell more. So the cheaper price that they want us to have to sell this huge amount of goods couldn't work. It worked for a country like China. China have 1 billion people and put 500 million of them for work for cheaper and not them and make goods for the rest of the world. They can survive off that. But a country like Jamaica, we have the best goods, the best yam, the best coffee, the best ginger, the best that. You know, our thing can sell on a bulk level. Our thing have to sell on a connoisseur level. Now, because Seaga was interested in maintaining a very tight exchange rate management system, he had to use much of the reserves to sterilize the market. Whenever demand exceeded supply, he had to what we call sterilize the market by furnishing foreign exchange. Sterilizing the market 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 year, 6 year, 7 year, up to 1988, we had depleted much of our reserves to assist the country to maintain a particular high value. So throughout the 80s, Jamaica currency appreciated from about $1.20 to about $4, something around there. In 1988, we were hit by Gilbert. When we were hit by Gilbert damaged the entire economy. And to allow the economy to recover after Gilbert, we needed inflows of foreign currency. Huge amount, because Seaga was in negative reserves, right? Meaning that we owed to the rest of the world. And we were in a catastrophic crisis. At that time, right, the IMF went to him and the negotiations were not completed. And the elections were called in 1989 when the IMF at that time came to Jamaica to discuss how our economic management is going to be restructured. The IMF said at the time that we need to implement a 10-point plan called the Washington Consensus. And I want your listeners to go and search up the Washington Consensus on YouTube or on Google or whichever search engine that you may prefer. The Washington Consensus. That was a 10-point plan that Jamaica had to implement in order for them to get a drawdown for the structural adjustment policies from the IMF, right? Now, the entire plan wasn't good, but there were a few pillars of the plan that were devastating. First among them was that Jamaica had to know, instead of maintaining the crawling peg exchange rate that Seaga had throughout the 80s.
Now, I just want to cut it there for a little bit of introspection. So, what he's explaining is FINSAC, the FINSAC situation. So he went back and then he came forward. That's why I mentioned Seaga and all of those things, right? So to understand the cause, you have to go back to the root cause of the problem to understand the problem. Now, what he's just said that was significant is that what they advised the government to implement the 10-point plan, all of it was bad for us, but there were some parts of it that was just devastating. So he's explaining the FINSAC. Let me just go back 10 seconds, 15 seconds, so we can catch that back.
On the structural adjustment policies from the IMF, right? Now, the entire plan.
Good morning to everyone, by the way. How you guys doing? Welcome. You can say good morning in the chat. It helps the algorithm of the video. Thank you kindly.
Search up the Washington Consensus on YouTube or on Google or whichever search engine that you may prefer. The Washington Consensus. That was a 10-point plan that Jamaica had to implement in order for them to get a drawdown from the structural adjustment policies from the IMF, right? Now, the entire plan wasn't good, but there were a few pillars of the plan that were devastating. First among them was that Jamaica had to know, instead of maintaining the crawling peg exchange rate that Siaga had throughout the 80s, we had to fully liberalize our financial sector, meaning allow our exchange rate to be determined by demand and supply. Now, obviously, if you are not going to sterilize the market with foreign currency to assist the exchange rate to maintain a particular stable level, if you said you can now, instead of getting a quota amount of foreign currency from your bank per day, per month, per week, you can now get any amount at any time. There was a bank rush on foreign currency, and the Jamaican dollar exchange rate moved from 6 to 1 in 1990 to 25 to 1 by 1992. That was 6 into 25, 4, so it was like a 400% increase in the value of the or decrease in the value of the currency. 400% decrease in the value of our currency. Look at it as a depreciation. A 400% increase in the value of the US. Now, banks who had their foreign currency denominated debt saw their debt increase from 6 to 1 to 25 to 1. So imagine you owe 6 million US. You saw your debt moving from 6 million US to 25 million US. You have your debt denominated, so you have a debt of 10 million, yes, you gone to 40 million. You have a debt of 100 million, you gone to 400 million. So they now were unable to pay their debts. You recognize? So the entire banking system at the time, remember, many of these banks had pension funds, they had domestic investment. I myself had money in Central National as a young boy at the time. And the banking system now, because the bank's debt increased fourfold, they could not pay it. They could not pay it. And as a result, the banking sector in Jamaica was on the brink of collapse. Now, money represents the lifeblood of the economy. It is how transactions take place. It's an exchange for goods and services, and sometimes a store of value depending on how you use it. If you have no medium of exchange, you have no store of value, your entire economy is going to grow underground. What did PJ Patterson and Michael Manley decide to do? They decided to establish the Financial Sector Adjustment Company, FINSAC. And FINSAC was the remedy to assist the banking sector, the Jamaican financial sector, to regain footing and to stabilize itself while it restructured out of that high debt it had accumulated through exchange rate depreciations and devaluations between 1990 and 1992. In order to do so, they had to borrow because we didn't have the foreign currency readily available to us domestically, so they had to borrow. They borrowed, they refinanced, they restructured, the debt increased, but the debt gradually came down closer towards 2002. And yeah, that's the FINSAC story.
Oh, thank you. Just a follow-up question to that. What are the lessons that we can take from the FINSAC debacle?
Yeah, the first lesson is that we must understand.
Before we go to the lesson, I hope that puts to bed, because this man is just speaking about the facts. He's not. I don't hear politics come out of his argument. He gave even Siaga credit. You know what I'm saying? So take that, do the research, and now let's hear. That's another good question by Jamaics. To him, let's hear what he has to say, innit?
The FINSAC debacle.
Yeah, the first lesson is that we must understand the macroeconomy before we make broad-scale macroeconomic decisions. The first point that we note as economists is that in order for us to liberalize the economy, we had to have the sufficient controls into play, meaning that you cannot do wholesale liberalization as we did then. You have to liberalize in chunks. And the second thing to note is that not everything the IMF recommends is healthy. When I went there in 2017 as a fellow, I spoke to a couple of the lawyers who...
I have to play that back. What did he say?
Note is that not everything the IMF recommends is healthy.
Emotional damage.
I want my people to understand how much of a fact that is. He said it a very, very nice way. I would go further to say a lot of the things that the IMF put forward in terms of stipulations does not benefit that particular country that they're stipulating to. This is why continuously to go to bed with the IMF is not something that I applaud or encourage. Alright? I understand you have to borrow, but mighty God, can we find some alliances outside of the IMF to borrow from that have our best interests at heart, that we can, coexist together and grow together and have similar ideals? But I digress. Let the professionals speak.
Not everything the IMF recommends is healthy. When I went there in 2017 as a fellow, I spoke to a couple of the lawyers who worked on the Washington Consensus with Jamaica, and they were very apologetic to what occurred at the time to us, because they recognized that Jamaica, we saw the blunt of the disadvantage because we were naive to what was taking place. And that's a fundamental lesson, to know that the economics that govern developed countries is a different economics that governs developing countries. And we need economists like myself who are developing country oriented to really unravel the idiosyncrasies and to say, look, we cannot do this way, we can try it that way or that way. Let us explore the options, and to put a counter proposal on the table with the IMF instead of a set of people who do not understand economics at all, who now are going to take wholesale what the IMF says because they lack understanding. So that's a fundamental lesson. So while our leaders study law, they study politics, right? And anybody can tell you, I'm probably the worst politician, but I am the best leader. And that is what Jamaica needs at this time. Leaders, not politicians.
Let me at this point, let me just throw something out. Let me just play a quick video, a few seconds, maybe a minute, Dr. Haughton. And then I want to ask you a question about macroeconomics and some of the comments you just made. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on then. Kevin is here, so I'm not worried about none. Here it is. Here it is. All right. 1 second. Here we go.
Essential quality for effective leadership in today's environment is clear vision. It might sound a bit contrite, probably overused, and it won't break the sound barrier. People have heard it before. But I think it's one of the things we're struggling with at the moment in the world, which is, what is our vision of what we're building? And then more specifically as Africans, what is the vision of what we're doing? And what does that vision look like in the next 10 years, the next 25 years, and the next 50 years? So I think that's probably the most important ingredient. The second most important ingredient would be a clear sense of purpose. Anywhere where you find leaders who have inspired a generation, what allowed them to coalesce that generation is a single mission, a clear sense of purpose. And so what we see with entrepreneurs who are able to build businesses and scale businesses, not only here, but across the continent, is that there's a very clear sense of why they're doing it and a very clear view of what the future looks like.
All right. Use that to set up this question. You mentioned naivety, and you also mentioned to understand macroeconomics before making decisions. Now, our last Minister of Finance, well, not the second to last one, because now we have Minister Pavel Williams, but I'm referring to Dr. Clark. He came in from the perspective, and correct me if I'm wrong, that we have to get the macroeconomics down before we can even start dealing with the microeconomics. And to that extent, they looked at the GDP to debt ratio. And so if we can get this down from 140, whatever it was, 141, 144, just the goal is to get it to 70. That's 60. Everything. 60.
60, yeah.
60. Everything is going to be okay. Based on what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like that course of action was flawed. Am I correct? And if I'm correct, what would you have done in that situation?
When you say that the course of governance is flawed, I mean, every country needs to be able to repay their debt because you borrow the people the money, you must find yourselves in a position to be able to repay that debt. You look at a country like Japan, whose debt to GDP ratio is 200 and odd percent, and Japan has been flourishing, right? But that doesn't negate the fact that Jamaica was in a bad position. We were using almost half of our budget for debt repayment. And if you have recurrent expenditure, right, and you have a debt of almost half your budget, then surely you would want to reduce that debt because it is important. However, you think about, and this is the beauty about macroeconomics, right? It breaks down the economy into a simple microcosm and makes it easier to understand. Think about your household as the country, right? The household that you live, your wife, your children, right? If you don't have no wife, no children, you alone live, you live with your mother, whatever the case may be. Just think about that household as the country. You are Jamaica. Now think about you just putting all your effort into reducing debt, right? You're not putting any effort into gaining a better education. You're not putting any effort into putting in appliances in the house, buy appliances so that you can use these appliances to make your life more comfortable. You're not putting any effort into ensuring or expanding the house so that when you have more family come over or you get more children, they can be comfortable in that house. So you just find yourself paying down the debt. What that does is that from the debt point of view, you are now freeing up space in your future income to be used for other things. But, and if you can recall, in 2016, Dr. Clark and Andrew Holness said that in 4 years, Jamaica should be growing by 5% per annum. Remember that. A colleague of mine, Samuel Brathwaite, in the Department of Economics, right, and a few others of us, did a simulation to see what it would take for us to grow by 5%. Remember, the economy can be broken down. We have about 11 different industries. All we need to see what will it take for these industries. Would you believe that it required all the industries to be growing at a high percentage altogether in order for Jamaica to grow by 5%? And in order for these industries to grow, they needed industry support, not just from the private sector, but if you recognize what Vusi was saying, is that the government has to have a clear vision as to the industries that it wants to boost in order for the country to grow. Jamaica has a clear vision about tourism, no other industry. And tourism alone is only one offering that we have. Tourism alone does not provide the growth potential to help the other industries lift themselves up by the bootstraps. I'm sure you heard when I said that we missed, and I was getting a little bit serious, but sometimes you have to bring things across serious. Me not really serious in myself. I'm a very jovial person, but I take the nation's business very seriously. We missed the technological boom. In 1950, technology represented 0% of China's GDP. No measurement whatsoever. Technology always exists, but it no measure. Today, technology represents over 32% of China's GDP. Tell me, what percentage of Jamaica GDP is technology?
I would say less than 5%.
We don't know because it's not measured.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is not measured, it means that you don't know where it is and you have no way of tracking it as to where it ought to go. And that is what I am saying, is that technology missed us 70 years ago with the third industrial revolution. Today, we're having the fourth and fifth industrial revolution simultaneously with the advent of AI and the Internet of Things and robot and ray. Each industry in Jamaica, based on the results of my book, Overcoming Productivity Challenges in Small Countries, hires more people than what it requires to produce its most efficient output. Let me repeat. Each industry, whether it want to be government, finance, education, healthcare, whichever the industry, they are hiring more people than what is required to produce their optimum. Meaning they are producing more than what they are producing today with less people than what they are producing today with more people. Government, for example, hires 30% more people than what it takes to produce their optimum. So the government can shed 30% of its weight and still produce the same amount of goods. Same thing for many of the other industries. What does this mean? This means that whenever these industries find themselves in complicated situations that they need to figure out, instead of getting the technological complement as well as getting the skill complement to operate these technological advanced machinery, advanced software, advanced whatever technology, they hire another person horizontally to assist the person beside them to figure out a vertical problem. So we end up in a too many cooks spoil the broth situation, and as a result, 2017, 2018, 2019, Jamaica still was growing by an average 1%. So economic growth is not a hypothesis. Economic growth is a clear vision and plan as to where you ought to go and what you need to do. And that is why, as a macroeconomic practitioner, you are better equipped to make the right decisions rather than a man who is a mathematician who thinks that you can just say 5 minus 4 equal 1 and it just come out of nowhere. That mathematics has to be applied to real scenarios, to real goods, to real services, to real people, to real lives. And that is the fundamental challenge. So now, what does this mean? Jamaica has done very well to reduce our debt. And we are very appreciative of it, because one of the challenges that we faced was that almost half the budget, 44%, was being used for debt servicing. Coupled that with recurring expenditure, we had less than 5% of the budget for capital expenditure. Now we have more than 10% of the budget that can go to capital expenditure. Too many people believe that the government has no role to play in business development. Let me repeat that. Many people believe that the role of the government is just to collect tax and spend on recurrent expenditure. A country like Germany is a socialist country. A country like Switzerland is a socialist country. The only difference between socialism and capitalism is not how money is earned, but how money is redistributed. Michael Manley attempted it, but he took on too much on his plate without the necessary support structure around him. So you get to realize he had the vision, but the people around him were not on the mission. Jamaica, at this critical juncture in our life, need to figure out how to reduce the amount of persons without high school education from 65% to 10%. We must figure out, and the school system is another thing, it has been failing us. So you get to realize that no, many of the young people don't see themselves benefiting from the high school system, so then just nobody go. Them go learn something on YouTube, them go learn something on Udemy, them go learn something on Akan Academy, and they use that to earn their income.
Not only is this man astute in his profession of understanding macroeconomics and just economics overall, but he understands real life situations. And this is the second time I've heard somebody describe Nigel Clark as an accountant. And this is why the Jamaican economy, to them, seems as if it's doing very well, because they're out of touch with the reality of the people on the ground. They boast about no new taxes, and we've explained this several times because we've now understood that, yeah, you don't have any new taxes, but the inflation, no productivity, all of these things factor into the reason why us having the lowest unemployment rate is not coinciding with productivity. for that low of an unemployment rate, it means that we should be one of the most wealthiest countries in the world in terms of the people that live here and the amount of money we're making per month. But the fact of the matter is, those jobs that they describe as jobs are not paying livable wages. So what's the point of boasting a low unemployment rate? High inflation means more taxes, period, because the cost of the food is more because we're importing too much and we're not exporting enough. It's simple. Low supply and high demand is high cost. And this is what the people on the macro level is feeling.
Some of them not go learn nothing at all. Them go learn it on Canva.
Oh, and the next thing that he just mentioned that I wanted to speak on. The young people really don't want to go to school because they realize, so I'm supposed to go to school for 5 years. After high school, I'm supposed to work in a Chinaman shop. Parents can't send me go community college. Student loan, well, that's some type of setup for embarrassment. And yeah, I'm not dunce, but my reality is this. What is my best option? You know what? TikTok are going good enough. Let me learn this social media thing. You find say you can make thousands of US dollars a month. Something you probably don't do when you're actually doing a 9 to 5 in Jamaica. You see how it goes. And that's what the person that is humble. Talk about the person that decided that they, hey, I'm supposed to be rich, I'm supposed to live lavish, and by any means necessary, I'm going to figure it out. So those people go and scam. So they can have the ride and the fast life. Big up yourself, Patrick. Big up Fitzroy. Grand rising to you both. Right? So he mentioned a few things in here that I thought was practical, and some of the things I've been saying. The government needs to incentivize certain, industries. Push those industries. Target them, push them. It's going to heighten the productivity of the country. Again, Singapore is always a country that we can look at. It's the size of St. Thomas. Come on. Perfect example. How did they do it? Corruption is a real issue, which is going to touch on. But let's continue.
Them go learn something on YouTube. Them go learn something on Udemy. Them go learn something on Haughton Economy. Haughton Academy. And they use that to earn their income. Some of them not go learn nothing at all. Them go learn it on Canvas, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram. And that is their forte. So not because, for example, we say 65% of the population have no high school diploma, means that 65% of the population are dunce. No. 65% of the population, or a percentage of that, have lost hope in the high school system. And therefore, we need to recognize as a country, and as Vusi said, what is the mission? What do we want? Do we continue to adopt everything from abroad and complicate our... Hey, me used to do enough complicated research, My research used to complicate it like, whoa, when you say me build an econometric model, man. Come on, man. Oxford, man. You get me? But then me realize, oh my God, may I build this complicated model? But the Jamaican economy is not so complicated. So may I build some level 10 model when the Jamaican economy is still there level 2? So we skip out the level 2 analysis, the level 3 analysis, and go on a level 10 analysis just because we want to keep up as researchers with international peers without properly delving into the idiosyncrasies of our country. And that's a fundamental challenge. Because it comes like when you're playing football and a man cannot control, cannot pass the ball, does not have self-awareness of their position on the field. But as them get it, them want to run with it, them want to dribble, them want to plot, them want to do one in a fancy style because that is sexy. that look good to the crowd in an individual basis, but that don't fit in with the team. So the team have certain individual players who look fancy on the ball. We're going to lose. So we find ourselves in 2025 coming out of a recession in 2024 when we had hoped that by 2019, 2020, we should be growing by 5% per annum.
People, you see what he did there? He used a football analogy that most of us can understand, because that is true. Nigel Clark is the player where I try pile and I try salad the people but him don't score the goal. Him lose the ball. Period. He lost the ball.
Emotional damage.
And that's what he's explaining. He's the member on the team that lost the ball, ladies and gentlemen. It looks good, you know. You go, all these praises. Why are we in a recession? Man, this dude is brilliant.
So the economic management of which the government speaks, very good. Paying off debt, very good to the creditors who want to lend you money. So you get a higher rating. Because what happens when you go to the bank, I pay my credit card bill every month before it due. So when I check my credit rating, I 800 odd. Because I have perfect credit. I understand the system. So I can get any amount of money for borrow. But does that mean that my entire affairs is profitable and growing in a profitable way? It can signal it, but it is not it. And that is where Jamaica is at this time.
Let me just follow up by saying that, Bootsy said that you have to have a clear sense of purpose and know where you're going and why you're doing what you're doing. And you illustrated and echoed that point. Now, you've pointed out to us, or you've made a distinction between paying off your credit card bill before it's due every month so that you get a higher rating and you get more access to borrowing money versus doing the responsible thing and paying off a little bit here, but at the same time you're managing your affairs at home. And you give the example of maybe expanding on the home, buying more goods so that the family can eat and whatnot. Two schools of thought. Let me put you in the position of a decision maker, maybe the Minister of Finance, maybe the Prime Minister. But I'm going to put you in a position now where looking at the macroeconomics, everything economics, minor, mini, everything. You know the situation Jamaica is in. You have analyzed it brilliantly. What are the steps you take to do a course correction to get us on the path of true prosperity? And I'm saying prosperity not on an individual level, but as you would argue, for the entire country.
Now, with this question, whatever it is you're doing and you're distracted, you probably are at work, so you can't help yourself. I would ask you to come back to this point of the video, which is 38 minutes and 39 minutes, and I would ask you to come back to it and listen it over a few times, what he is now about to say. Let's continue.
Yeah, we have spoken of them, right? The first thing for us to begin to do is begin to measure technology as an industry and to see where we are technologically compared to the rest of the world, and not just to where the rest of the world is, but where the rest of the world is going. So we have to make a futuristic call, right? So it's forecasting. Upon measuring technology in each industry and the value of such, then we begin to look at the deficiencies and the excess labor that exists in these industries. Because if you look at it, Jamaica, we have a very low unemployment rate, right? Our unemployment has been falling. Whilst our unemployment has been falling, also our GDP has been falling. And that goes against all standard principles of macroeconomics, Haughton's law. In Haughton's law, and you know what's a law? A law written down in a stone. So Haughton's law is applicable in the United States but it is not applicable in Jamaica. Why? Because, as I said before, there are idiosyncrasies that prevent us from moving forward. So the first thing we have to do is measure technology. The second thing we have to do now is to assess, and these excess labor that exists in Jamaica, in each industry, we have to now twin them up with technology. So the 30% of excess labor in the government, for example, is not as if we're going to fire them. We're not firing them. We are now going to get them technologically inclined so that they now can recognize their true value. I have 2 books because the economy is broken down into 2, right? Financial sector, goods sector. My first book is how to stabilize the financial sector. My second book, how to stabilize the real economy. There is no quick fix. From an overarching level, our productivity nationally is impacted by 2 variables: corruption and human capital deficiency. So fundamentally, in order for us to really set an example, we have to take something from Lee Kuan Yew's book and to make example out of some of these thieving leaders. Because if we don't make an example out of these thieving leaders, then we will continue to be faced by leaders who are thieves, who have no acumen to improve the standard of living of a nation of such remarkable people.
Emotional damage.
Embarrassing. We need some milk.
May God bless the great institutions of the country that keep the society together. May God bless the Integrity Commission that leads the fight against corruption in the land. Because corruption is a scourge against the will of God. And the institutions on earth that fight against corruption deserve our full support.
Well, finally, I want to say to the people of Jamaica, we're at a tipping point. One of the things that Richard Pondoy, the CEO of Seprod, said to me today, that he can't understand why everybody's so silent and why the people are so silent and I take all of this problem. And that's why I say, we want the people of Jamaica to wise up and rise up and make the man them know. So we know that we are in a crisis and we're not tolerating those things anymore.
So fundamentally, in order for us to really set an example, we have to take something from Lee Kuan Yew's book and to make example out of some of these thieving leaders. Because if we don't make an example out of these thieving leaders, then we will continue to be faced by leaders who are thieves, who have no acumen to improve the standard of living of a nation of such remarkable people.
Help, we key out of the ladder.
We need your divine intervention. We're tired of the labor rights. We're tired of the green people. We are so far. We can't take it no more. We need this. We need this. We need it. Help. Help. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength. Is a liberator.
So fundamentally, in order for us to really set an example, we have to take something from Lee Kuan Yew's book and to make example out of some of these thieving leaders. Because if we don't make an example out of these thieving leaders, then we will continue to be faced by leaders who are thieves, who have no acumen to improve the standard of living of a nation of such remarkable people. And because our leaders act in such a frivolous fashion, it forces the followers to act also in such a frivolous fashion because they are not seeing the example. So one would say to you, you love the politics a joke thing, you know, fit your heart too clean, leave it alone, you build for dirty heart people, ray. And I do go home and think about it. I mean, I said, you know, this politics thing, I don't really mean, man, because I don't really know if I play this hypocrite thing with people, and sometimes they want you not be yourself, and the least secret thing you're being judged and ray. So me way up on my mind. So if you just left you alone, then I say I'm rotted. So I go live till me 80. Half of them are idiot are running place, a thief everything. And then when me dead, me say, if me know me try change it, you better me try change it, man.
A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also.
This politics thing, I don't really mean, man, because I don't really know if you play this hypocrite thing with people, and sometimes they want you not be yourself, and the least secret thing you're being judged and ray. So me way up on my mind, so if you just left you alone. Then I say me rotted, so I go live till me I 80. And have them a idiot or run a place, a thief everything. And then when me dead, me say, if me know me try change it, you better me try change it, man.
Yeah.
At what point a nation of such remarkable people go recognize the true value of self, recognize the value that they have to play to enhance the value of our nation, and allow 83, less than 0.0001% of the population for manipulate us and continue to pilferage from the budget?
I thought, no, hold on a second, I'm going to put this in. That's why
Listen, man. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like I just took a fresh, a hot, and a cold shower. Just refreshing. You know what I mean? It's like the perfect temperature. The water was at the perfect temperature. It is refreshing, ladies and gentlemen, to hear the unadulterated truth of the matter. Right? And what he just said should resonate with every single Jamaican. I don't care where you live. I don't care what's your situation. What are you going to tell your children? And thank you so much, Patrick, for your contribution in the chat. He says he's talking about the Singapore leader, Lekwangu. All right. Thank you for that. What are you going to tell your children? What did you do to have them have a better future as a person that live in Jamaica? Did you contribute to the destruction of this country by selling out your vote? Or did you stand up and stand for something? Now, it is a hard pill for me to swallow, you know. But he said the truth. I have the same mentality. Yo, this politics thing, this stand for me, you know. You know how much people have said to me why I don't go into politics, why I don't run for one of those things and become an activist. A lot of people have said it to me. And if it's God's will for me to go down that path, so it be, because his will on my life is what that's the bottom line of it. His will be done. Right? If it's his will, let it be done. But I am like Mr. Dr. Andrew Haughton. I really don't like the hypocrisy and the all the stuff he described. But then again, I really want to help in cleaning up Jamaica, which is why I'm motivated to even have this platform and use it with all the present dangers and to speak the truth or speak my perspective without fear or favor, even if it hurts somebody's feelings in my audience. My audience here, respectfully, am I afraid to hurt your feelings, male or female? And respectfully, of course. Just telling the truth how I see it, even if it hurt your feelings or not. Do I seem like the type? I don't think I am. And I've not demonstrated that at all. So I couldn't believe I missed this. This was perfect. This is a message for all Jamaicans. It is time for you to get up off your ASS and do something in advancing the welfare of this entire Jamaica and the whole human race. It's time for us to take our Jamaican national anthem and our pledge more seriously. And it's so perfect that he put up the Jamaica flag. I have not watched this part that he's about to play, but let's play it.
But make the argument that this criminal must go to prison.
Oh, yes. Yes. Who is this guy, by the way? Former State Minister Leslie Campbell found guilty of breaching the IC Act. Listen to this.
We keep saying it. This man is a convicted criminal, and him have to go to prison. So we agree wholeheartedly with Dr. Haughton said that, listen, we can't walk away from it and say, well, make somebody else do it. We can't do that. Our country, our piece of the rock. And we need to make an example out of people like this. And if this man cannot go to prison for violating the Integrity Commission Act, and if all the politicians who face the court, if they just walk away with a simple fine, then it sends a very, very, very powerful message. Actually, it's a powerful confirmation that these people, they don't go to prison. And that's no good for the future of Jamaica. Continue, Doctor.
No, people. That is the biggest point of it all, Corruption does not help an economy, It hurts it, it cripples it, is a cancer to any economy. So are we going to be a part of the solution to clean up Jamaica, or are we going to be cowards? That is the question. And you have to look within yourself as people of Jamaica, whether you live abroad or not. We all hold a certain level of responsibility. I can detail some ways you can help the movement. Right? Supporting people like us that put out content like this. That's a way. Sharing it with your friends and family. Right? So they can play their role as well, however they seem fit. You understand? But we cannot. The future of our children is at stake. Our future is at stake. I don't think people are really looking at the full scope of what is happening with our country, You think we're just talking, a hot air coming out of our mouth about the actual position that we're in right now? We are at stage critical. We are hemorrhaging. Listen, the amount of blood that this country is hemorrhaging in terms of us flatlining as a country, we don't have much blood left. If they don't stop the bleeding, it's gonna go. Good morning, Winnie mate. Salute. Hope you're having a blessed Friday. It's good to be alive. To God be the glory. But let me hear this part that Mr. Haughton has to say in conclusion.
Sorry to interrupt.
Before I wrap
In every
up.
country throughout its course of history, there becomes a time when it is blessed with true leadership. Leadership that is selfless, leadership that understands its own idiosyncrasy.
We in big up.
And leadership that believes in our ability to enterprise ourselves as a country. Too many Jamaicans are distracted by the quest for wealth, distracted by their own selfishness, distracted by the pursuit of self-fulfilling dreams. And that has put the rest of us at a disadvantage. Let me give you an example. Michael Manley was very good. He tried his best, right? He had a vision for agriculture, for industry, for all the industries. In Hanover, he devised a plan to expand agriculture and to give the people ownership of land. And they had a banana planting project that the people were given houses and they were given plots of lands to plant the banana. Now, when Michael Manley gave them the houses to live in, gave them the land, gave them the banana suckers, he had wardens going around to make sure that they are planting the bananas, right? What they did was to calculate how many banana leaves they would need to fill their acre of land. So say for example you need, I don't know, the acre of land can grow, I don't know, 200 banana stalk. They would grow, so you can get 10 leaves per stalk. They would grow 10, and when the warden is coming, them chop off one leaf and put in at each hole. So it appears to the warden that they are growing bananas when it's just the leaves that are in the hole. So you as a leader can do so much, preach so much, have so much vision. But the people, if they themselves don't see themselves as leaders, if they see themselves as thieves, if they see themselves as persons who are trying to exploit the system, persons who want to benefit and to get the most rewards out of nothing. If you don't see yourself as a leader, if you see Dr. Haughton as a leader, and you don't see yourself Rattigan as a leader, or my youth, yes, not see himself as a leader, or the youth, Kevin, don't see himself as a leader, Jamaica is in grave danger and will continue to be where it is. It is not an individual journey. It is a journey for a team. It is not an individual approach. It's an approach for a team. And just as though I spoke about the issue when we play football, if everyone don't see themselves with the responsibility of the captain to hold up the fort, and the captain alone is seen as the person to lead, then we will continue all to be led. And that is fundamental. Very fundamental.
Kevin.
So,
Perfect way to end it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, guys, I have 27 people watching at only 11 likes. I think that is unacceptable. Alright, I should have at least 25 likes. Alright, at least 25 likes, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate Mr. Dr. Andre Haughton, and I appreciate Mr. Will Rattigan for his program. Again, I want to encourage you guys to head over there. You guys saw I put up the meaning of idiosyncrasy. Lord have mercy, I'm butchering that. Idiosyncrasy. Alright, it means a mode of behavior or a way of thought peculiar to an individual. He used that word several times in this video. So idiosyncrasies, I think is the word, the adjective. Yeah, he used that a few times. So you guys, it's important that we, you know, we learn the words like that and expand our vocabulary, because as he said in this interview, you know, he's not special. We all have the same potential. We just have to apply ourselves, and we all are leaders. We just have to step forward and be brave and do something. Start. That's all we have to do. All we have to do is start. Right? That's all. Let me just, before I go, give Mr. Rattigan you know, his just due for excellent interview. That's his page right there, ladies and gentlemen, Reasoning with Rattigan. Alright. Definitely you should go ahead and subscribe. I encourage it. Alright. That's it. Let's go. I don't know if anybody wants to call in. You know, I know it's early, but I don't know if anybody wants to call in. Maybe somebody up on their veranda and they was like, "Yo, Bolo, you know I love the programming of bridging, respect. You know, make a call in. You know them ways there." Yeah, I don't know, but I was very compelled to share this one with you guys. Very compelled to share this one and do it as early as possible. I know exactly what part I wanted to take out of this thing. From the moment Jamaics asked the question to Mr. Haughton, I said, yo, he said things before that, you know, that is definitely worth you guys listening to. But I had to choose between the gems that I wanted to share from the actual video. And I didn't want to play the entire thing. If you haven't seen it already, go and watch the full video over there by Mr. Will Rattigan. Really appreciate, you know, Mr. Dr. Andre Haughton. He's definitely one of them that he's growing on me in terms of you know, his perspective and how he sees our country, and I believe that he is fighting for the best interest of our country. I hope that his influence is centered in as God would be the center of it, you know, and the guide of it, because at the end of the day, like I said before, it's God's will be done here on earth, you know. That is the most important thing. And once we are operating in that space, you know, we'll be good, man. We'll be alright. We will be alright. Even in the midst of a storm, you know, God will shield us and protect us from all harm. So I have a premiere at my premiere start at 6 a.m., which is a half an hour from now. So 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., and then 1:30 a.m. and then 3 p.m. Yeah, I have a premiere every hour on the hour, all the way up until 11 a.m. this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So you know, Rasta don't sleep. And Pastor Jeffrey Shuttleworth is going to be going live today. Today is Friday. I believe he's supposed to go live, so I'm going to probably cover that on Bolo V&R 2.0. No, Bolo V&R Clips. I'm probably going to cover that on Bolo V&R Clips. I need to do some lives over there anyway and get us up to 1,000 subs over there. Splash Digi, what's going on? Morning to you. I like the seed. I've been listening to this youth over the years. Brilliant, like Damian Crawford. Yeah, definitely. I'm telling you, he is one of the ones that I want to see play a larger role. And then again, it's about having God at the center of it, because we don't want them to corrupt a youth that has this intention and purpose and vision for Jamaica. You get me? We don't want to see that corrupted. You know what I'm saying? You have to nurture and protect this mind and this vision, and let's work together so we can fast track in realizing the manifestation of what he speaks in us coming together and uniting. It's all about unity at the end of the day, you know, ladies and gentlemen. This war and this separation and this JLP versus PMP. Listen to me. When it comes on to like the excitement and whatever and the jokes is one thing, but you have people out there that are literally willing to crash out. I'm talking about crashing out for a political party. Put them life and them freedom on their life. For what? We gotta do better, man. We got to do better, bro. It is not worth it, bro. You're not thinking about your future. Like I said, you don't want to grow up to see your grandkids. You want to sit in a prison cell or in a grave early? I mean, shoot, you gotta see Jesus anyway. Whether you in the grave or you know what I mean? You gotta see Jesus anyway. So why are you trying to speed up the process of going to the grave? Why not live as long as you can and live good and see your great grandchildren grow up, if possible, right? Live good, love each other, look out for each other. What's so wrong with that, right? And protect our core values. You know what I'm saying? Stand up as men. Stand for something. What about that? You know, it's like we got these people out here coming with their Samoa agreement, trying to change the Constitution. Now I understand why. I'm getting more understanding. And it's diabolical what they're trying to achieve. Absolutely. I'm talking about demonic, wicked, evil people, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And I say that without apology. Demonic, wicked, evil people, bruh. Trying to change the Constitution. Yeah, they try to muzzle minds like that. Anybody that speak of unity and actually and you see, I'm not even gonna put that out there, because at the end of the day we are all going to pass. That's the point. They want us to live in fear of persecution, right? The fact of the matter is we all gonna die one day, bruh. And the most important thing you should worry about in dying is that you die the right way, to face your judgment from the Most High. Fear not man. Same Bible tell you, once you living for God, God gonna protect you. Period. So why should we fear man? Why should we fear the system? Right? If it's God's will for us to transition doing His work, I think that's an honor. He died for us, so we can have life. So what? We can't sacrifice our mortal life for eternal life? Man, you got to be kidding me, bro. You got to be. I don't see how the math is how people is not mathing the math. It's like they not doing the math right. You feel me? You got to stand for something, man. I want the next generation to say, man, Bolo, hey, he fought for us, man. He really cared about us. He wanted to see us better for us. That's what I want them to say. I don't want them to say, man, oh man, that dude, he was a damn coward. You know what I'm saying? He had a chance, he had an opportunity to make a change, and he ain't doing nothing. He just sat there and agreed with it and became a part of the problem. You feel what I'm saying? Come on, man. We gotta, hey, man, we gotta stand up, man. We gotta stand up, man. Right? The soldiers gotta stand up, man. The spiritual soldiers gotta stand up. Right? Because we're not just fighting physical warfare here. We're fighting more a mental and a spiritual warfare with the powers that be. Yeah, it's more spiritual than anything else. Right? We're fighting against principalities and wickedness in very high places. And they're listening. They're listening. Once they find the page, so they got somebody logged on listening. Let's see if we can catch them with something. Why you think I make sure I make it very, very clear my position? I'm not encouraging nobody. I'm talking about nobody to harm the Prime Minister or any Prime Minister of Jamaica. No, sir. No, sir. No, I encourage you to pray for that man, because God is really on his ASS. That's what I'm encouraging y'all to do. You feel me? Yeah. Pray for him, repenting and God accepting his repentance. Pray that his repentance is genuine, that he could really turn it around. The judgment that is coming for him. Thus saith the Lord. Right? Yeah. You can't wish that on, you know what I'm saying? So, anyway, I don't want to go off on a tangent. I mean, we got premieres coming up in 20 minutes. I'm going to get the hell up out of here. Y'all have a wonderful Friday. Thank you so much for the continued support. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. For those that have already. For those that have not, I simply want to ask you to smash that like button going through the door. Thank you kindly. All right. Patrick said, I think Bolo people like you and other will go down as patriots in this country. I don't think I'm at that level yet. You know what I'm saying? We still got a lot of work to do. Yeah, we still got a lot of work to do. The real battle is man, it's gonna ramp up in this year. It's going to ramp up. You hear me? Expect everything. Alright, that's why we gotta have God with us, man. Gotta have God every step of the way. What's that song? You have this song that they have, I can't walk without you unless you hold my hand. What's that song? Can somebody tell me the title of that song? I would find it right now and play it. I just edit it out later on, but it's fitting to end this stream. I can't remember the melody of that song. Like, it literally is saying like Jesus, I can't walk without you holding my hands. Let me see if I can find it. Hold up. Lord, I can't walk without you holding my hand. Yep, here it is. Here it is. I can't even. Yes. Yes. I hope we find the right version. Let me see if this is it.
He's so soft and so smooth.
Oh no, this is it. This gotta be it. Oh no, my mom's. I remember my moms used to sing that song like all the time, bro. Like all the time. My moms would break out and just singing, and she be doing her thing and just break out and worship. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sassy 81, how you doing, love? Who else I saw just come in? Lorraine Smickle said, blessed good morning to you, Bolo. Big up to everyone in class. Yeah, I'm about to end the live because I got a premiere coming up at 6 o'clock. I want all y'all to go watch that premiere if you got the time. But yeah, man, when you think about it, man, we can't even walk without God holding our hands. I mean, look at the lady that just passed away, in the nurse that just passed away, man. She just fell down and she's gone. You know what I'm saying? She's gone. She's not here anymore with us. That's it. You know. And no man know at the hour, no man know at the time. You know what I'm saying? So hey, I remember this audio from this guy. He said, "You ain't never heard no scripture say he is an adult of God. It's always a child of God, never an adult." You know what I'm saying? Never an adult. We children. We ain't no adults, right? We're not adults. We're children of God. So we are always in need of our Father. We are always in need of our parent as children of God. Obviously, there are certain talents that God give us to help us to maneuver in this life, but at the same time, there is forces out there that is we are not aware of, that God is the only entity that can protect us from those forces and even give us knowledge of them, right? Through communication. So through us being subservient to his will and his wisdom, this is how we stay under the protection of the Most High. Trust. It's about trust. It's about faith. True trust, true faith. Not no manufactured that. You can't trick God that you have faith in him. You can't trick God that you trust God. It's either you trust God or you don't. Period. It's either you got faith in God or you don't. Period. It ain't no half nothing. You know what I'm saying? If you really think about it. But yeah, man. Can't even walk without God holding our hands, man. You know what I'm saying? And y'all have a blessed day. Appreciate y'all. I'm up out of here. Peace. I'm gonna get me some sleep.